Hi guys, my name is Nav. I am one of the founders of Boots and Beers right behind me. Thank you for joining us today. Today we'll be having a short, honest dialogue with a famous outdoor brand who we reached out to initially, and they came back with a very kind of positive and important um, step to come and have this chat with us about what's been happening across the pond and around the world about the whole kind of Black Lives Matter. And what we thought was we actually wanted to have this chat with a famous brand who focuses on um, doing um, outdoor and provides outdoor equipment, sporting equipment, and to see what their take was and going forward and how they, as a company, are looking to maybe change or have changed the business model. How do you see the importance of what's been happening around the world, and how easy it will be for them to adapt, and maybe just reaching out to groups like us and say how can we help you and how can we as a group can help them, what you call uh, make the necessary changes that's needed especially when it comes to outdoor stuff. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Kevin from. I'm going to point this way because you're on my left hand side of the screen. Kevin from Berghaus. Kevin, thank you for taking the time out for joining us. How are you? You okay?
I'm good, thanks, Nav. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. So Berghaus, I was doing a bit of research. Berghaus is actually based up in Newcastle, Sunderland. But when Kevin popped on my screen, he's a Paisley man. Turns out with a Scottish accent. So there you go. Kevin, do you want to just do a wee introduction about yourself, what you do for the company, and what your kind of remit is as such?
Sure, yeah. So I'm Kev McFadgen. And my job title is the brand director at Berghaus. But essentially, I lead the Berghaus business. So I'm in charge of running the brand.
Okay, cool. So let's get right into it. What's been happening across the world with the whole Black Lives Matter. The reason we kind of, as an organisation, Boots and Beers, the reason we kind of took this bold step to reach out to friends and partners who we kind of work closely with, or or clothing that we use to go out. We thought it was a good starting point for us to, you know what, just say there's clearly there's a problem um, in the outdoor community, and what can we do to help tackle the quality, the diversity, or if you think things have been done okay so far, what needs to get changed? Um, my question to you to start off with is, as an organization, as a company, I keep saying organization, as a company, um, what is your take on what's happened, and how do you, as a brand manager, how are you finding it? I mean,
Yeah, so I mean, I think before I dive into the company part now, I think you start off on a personal level, don't you? Because companies are just collections of people, and we're a relatively small company, so we've obviously been talking about this quite a lot. And you know, on a personal level, words kind of fall short to do justice to, you know, what's been repulsive and disgusting scenes of social injustice that I think Black Lives Matter has really put into the spotlight. And I think one of the things that Black Lives Matter has done, amongst many things, is that it's penetrated a bubble that many of us live in creating a kind of greater awareness of the systemic racism and discrimination that we're seeing around the world. And it's created a platform for genuine conversations like this one, which I think is probably one of the few major positive outcomes that's come from a terrible situation. My hope on what's next is that this is a bit of an ignition point, that it's a catalyst for change in every facet of society where we're seeing racial injustice and discrimination. You know, we're all, those of us who are tuned into social media will have seen the impact that it had on our social media feeds, which was, you know, absolutely right. But as those social media feeds return to normal, I hope we all continue to genuinely call out racism whenever we see it, and to be more aware of it, because I suspect that many of us were living in those bubbles where we didn't quite recognise all the racism that perhaps surround us. In terms of the outdoor industry, which I know is what you want to talk about today, I really hope that we see accelerated change from all brands and all organisations that are in the outdoors, because I think it's clear from the many conversations that I've had with people from the BAME community that there is quite a clear inherent racial bias in the outdoors industry, whether that be in the representation of people in the advertising that we see, or passing conversations that happen on a hillside or a mountain, or even the unconscious bias that might exist within the industry. For Berghaus, it's an issue that goes right to the core of what we're all about. We believe, and always have believed, that the outdoors should be a democratic space for everybody, regardless of whether it's race, gender, religion, physical ability or disability, or nationality, demographic, postcode, financial status. All of these things, it's all about equality, diversity, and inclusion. The outdoors should be an open and accessible space for all, but sadly it's not. And everyone should feel welcome and included in the outdoor category and industry. But again, sadly they don't. And at Berghaus, we're determined to do all we can to change that. And I think having Black Lives Matter in the spotlight recently has been hugely important, but it can't just be a moment in time. And at Berghaus, we were already consciously promoting that diversity, inclusion, and equality in the outdoors, because it's something that we're passionate about, and it's something that we'll continue to do.
And just before I was coming on, I actually did a quick kind of like check up on the website, and I was impressed to see that the first thing people look at on the website is the photographs, yeah, and there was a diverse range of photographs on the website, and I thought, just clearly that is good, right, male and female, and it'll be, and I'm just giving you some feedback. This feedback to take.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
Was just to there wasn't enough, I would say, but there wasn't enough what you call diverse photographs on the website, or you didn't have enough Black or Asian models on the website. But again, that's just my feedback, and I hope you can ask your team about that as well. Even what you call as Boots and Beers, the majority of our members are from the Islamic faith, even though we're not faith-based at all, but majority of the members that come hill walking with us or do in the outdoor activities are from the Muslim faith. So you've got women who kind of wear the headscarves and all that sort of stuff. So even that itself, I know Nike have basically got the headscarf with the Nike logo on it, sort of thing. So again, that's something, I don't know, maybe you guys can have a look into that as well. But even having somebody with a headscarf on, it makes a big bold statement. So that was just that. But the other thing was, I'm not being a critique here, me just trying to find out on the Berghaus website, just typed in Black Lives Matter, but there was nothing coming up, or there wasn't any diversity statement, or there wasn't, and that I couldn't find openly on the Berghaus website. So again, I'm not having a go at you, but I'm just saying that's what, if someone was to watch the video, say, okay, I'm going to go to the Berghaus website, see what the stand is, and they can't find anything. But that's me just giving my initial feedback to you guys. As a Boots and Beers founding member, one thing that I found coming into the whole outdoor community was that it is seen as a very male, white activity. I've been even told by white females, saying that even for them to be taken in, or for them to be seen as part of the outdoor community, is a challenge in itself. So as Asians, we're like next in line after females, white females, then it's Asian sort of thing. So there's a lot of work that needs to get done to change that kind of stigma, or that kind of image of the outdoor community. I get what you're saying about it's a democratic space, and people shouldn't be what you call they shouldn't have this kind of privilege that this is our hills and you shall not pass sort of thing. But it is a place for everyone, and if everyone does their own bit, we can all enjoy it as well. So just want to take next onto the conversation on how do you see Berghaus going forward with what's happening with the Black Lives Matter? I mean, hopefully it won't well, the real danger is this is all big hype. They'll blow out within 2 or 3 months. But you as an organisation, have you guys had discussion about how to continue this on, or what changes you want to see taking place?
Of course, yeah, absolutely, Nav. I mean, I think Black Lives Matter as a movement causes us to stop and ask ourselves two questions, really. The first one was, are we doing enough currently? And then the second one is, can we do more? Can we move faster? So on the first one, are we doing enough? Well, I think we're doing a fair bit, and I absolutely take your feedback on that about the website, and for sure we can do more. I'll come to that in a second. But I'd like to think that our advertising and comms are reasonably diverse and representative, but there's more we can do. And we very consciously and deliberately support various individuals, communities and platforms that promote diversity, inclusion and equality in the outdoors. And I can give you a couple of examples if you want, if that's of interest or not. So yeah.
Go
so
go
couple
for
examples.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of examples. So if we talk about demographic and getting access to the outdoors for urban people, so urban living people, I mean, so we support the Outward Bound Trust, which is all about getting kids who live in inner city environments to get outdoors and have their first experience of outdoors. We donate to them. We're working with a chap called Ed Jackson, who is a former rugby player who broke his spine and was paraplegic. I think still is technically paraplegic, but is now walking and climbing mountains. And we support him to support spinal charities, and we even make custom-made kit for him. So that's partly about the physical ability inclusion. We're working with Rianne at Black Girls Hike, giving her a platform on our own channels, but also including her in our advertising campaigns. And I've recently been speaking to Zara, the hill walking hijabi, who's based in Glasgow, about how we can do more with Zara as well, and the community that she's formed around her. So we're doing a bit, and that's not about us, congratulating ourselves. It's more just a bit of a stock take. But the second question is the more important one, which is, could we do more and could we move faster? And I think the answer is yes, we can definitely do more. And that's why we're deliberately engaging in conversations like this one, Nav, and constantly reaching out to groups that represent diversity and inclusion in the outdoors to get your opinion on what more we could be doing, and to bring that into what we're doing to accelerate the change.
So just on that, as a community, because we took the stand to kind of be the gateway, or could we become the gateway to the outdoor community, in the sense that what we found is, me being born and bred in Glasgow, I claim to be Scottish, but I've never ventured out to the hills, you know what I mean? So I've always stayed in Glasgow, been happy in Glasgow, but the interest of the hills was never something. My dad, when he was first generation, he never kind of said, guys, let's go to the park, let's go out a hill walking. At that time, the mindset was put food on the table, and that was it. So me now being a father of four boys, I wasn't going to bring my kids up to that kind of mindset. I wanted them to be Scottish as very much so, and know the local surroundings and know the local cultures, and just be out there and be proud of the country that they were born into as such. But that's just one story, but my story replicates across the board, I would say so, because there are many families who only came to this country for a few years, but then ended up settling here, and now they're going to grow here, but they still haven't beat the hills. So we're that kind of gateway. Say, we can show you where the hills at Loch Lomond are. We can show you all the routes. We can show you all the websites. We can show you the different tools you've got, the apps you've got, the Walk Highlands website. You can use the path, all these sort of things. We can give you navigation courses. There are many communities who have the same story as I have. Our forefathers came here. We basically thought we were only going to be here for a couple of years, but we ended up settling, and then that was it, and growing as a community. But we still don't feel that the hills of Loch Lomond or the hills of what you call of the Cairngorms, they're not seen as our land. They're still seen as the land of the white man sort of thing, and we shouldn't venture out, and that's their land sort of thing. So we still don't have that sense of belonging as a community, and maybe that's because Again, it's maybe there's a collective part that's missing where the some of the parks like the local and Trossachs where the caring drums, they need to kind of start reaching out and saying, guys, you'll be safe when you come out. Don't worry if you have any hassle. We're here to help you guys. We're here to kind of make you feel welcome, sort of thing. So there's a collective part, not just us, but there's a collective part in the clothing companies to do their bit. There's a collective part in the police and the parks doing their bit, and then there's a collective part in all the hotels and all the general businesses who can reach out to the community. So there is a fair bit of economy that is lost if you don't reach out. And you've got people down in England, had they known that this much diverse kind of like, or that much effort going into the outdoor community, and they'll be coming up the M6 trying to see, okay, what's all the fuss is all about. But there's all that, there is a lot of business that can be taken on just by reaching out to the BME community there. So I'm not saying it's our job alone. It's a collective effort. Everyone needs to play their part, sort of thing. And only and these things can only happen by having dialogue. I'm having an honest dialogue. This is where we're going wrong. Can we fix this? Yeah. And working together hand in hand. But again, there's a lot of work needs to get done. And I think this is just the tip of the iceberg, basically. So, yeah, I don't know what your take is on all this.
No, I agree. I think, as I said earlier, the outdoors are for everyone. We need to be, all of us, doing our part to encourage everyone to get outdoors. And for us, it's as much about giving a platform to the communities that are encouraging diversity and inclusion in the outdoors, to make sure that there's a chance that people will realise that there is a space for everyone in the outdoors, and they can gravitate towards whatever entry point to the outdoors it feels best for them. And so it's great to chat to people like yourself, Nav, and see the work you're doing. And if we can support you as a brand, then we'd be delighted to do so. And the same goes to every organisation or community out there that's looking for a bit of support from a brand. Please do get in touch, because we want to help. It's in our DNA to get as many people outdoors as possible. So yeah.
No, and the good thing about it is, I mean, I'm in my 40s now, and this only came about 4 or 5 years ago. But I don't want my kids or other kids to hit their 40s and still think, oh, do you know what? Look at those mountains. Let's go hill walking. I want to get them out there when they're 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. Get them to the navigation courses. Get the families out. Get them when they're young, sort of thing, and get the idea of outdoors kind of in their DNA at a younger age. Get the fresh air in their lungs at an earlier age. Just get them more kind of away from the computer screens and more about getting their hands dirty as such. You know what I mean? So once you get, I mean, half the battle is trying to drag the kids out, and I've witnessed it, I've experienced it. But see, once they're out and they meet other kids, they're up running on ahead, and they're having sword fights with sticks and all that. They're throwing stones. They're basically getting themselves dirty, and that's what it's all about. And that's where you pick up life skills. That's how you pick up life skills. You're not going to get life skills just for playing Grand Theft Auto or playing other kind of games. You know what I mean?
100%.
That's where all the real kind of stuff is, basically, and that's what's going to strengthen you as a person, and teach you all that. But listen, is there anything else that we as a community, I mean, you've already reached out to us, but is there anything else you want to focus on in the next couple of months that you're looking at some assistance with? But before you mention that, there's one question: what challenges actually do you see? That's a very important question. What challenges do you see? Do you see some sort of resistance coming from the user? I mean, from your customers, do you see any?
No, I haven't seen any resistance whatsoever. And one of the things we've been doing a lot of, we were doing this already, as you might imagine, because as I talked about, we're already doing quite a lot of work in the diversity and inclusion space. But we've really stepped up our efforts to get in touch with people, communities, groups, since Black Lives Matter. And everyone we speak to is so up for the conversation and so welcoming, and so glad we got in touch. But even just this morning, I was chatting to a guy called Rotimi, who runs a climbing group down in London. And we're just having a little chat about how I got in touch with him via Instagram, and gave him a call this morning and was chatting about what are the barriers that he feels that his group faces in getting outdoors more. And it turns out that because they live in London, they're doing most of their climbing indoors, and they actually don't have the skill set in the team to go and do proper outdoors climbing on a crag. And so we can help with that. We're going to set them up with some riggers from our athlete team and get them out onto a proper crag and show them how to do proper climbing outdoors. That's just one thing that came from an early conversation we had just this morning. And I think what's great is that people are open to having those conversations. And the more we have of these, the better, Nav. So as I mentioned earlier, if anyone wants to get in touch with us, either drop us a note on Instagram, or you can search me out on Instagram as well and just drop me a DM. We'd love to hear from you, and thanks for engaging us in the conversation.
Listen, thanks a lot. Listen, like I said, if you don't have these discussions, then you don't know what the problems are, and I don't know what the solutions are. And I can't just basically think there's a problem and let you deal with it. I need to engage with you guys as well, sort of thing. And that's the way it's going to work, sort of thing. So listen, I thank you for taking the time out, Kevin. It's a pleasure to have a chat with you, and hopefully, we get to have more chats in the future as well, to maybe help your brand get stronger, and maybe to help this community get stronger as well. So again, thank you for that.
Thanks a lot, Nav. I'd love that. Let's keep in touch.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, mate. Cheers.
All the best.
All the best, man. Thank you.